head down to the orchard and do a lot of manual labor. Good morning, friends. Oh shoot, I'm late. It's 9 minutes into the afternoon. Good afternoon, friends. We are actually heading back outside because in my last video about the orchard, I was sharing with you guys what I have learned, like mistakes I realized I made, ways that I can improve things. The second mistake I made is that I planted my trees on the berms of our swale and berm setup. This tree is in the berm and all the water collects there. I'm not doing myself any favors, you see what I'm saying? And I was getting the irrigation set up yesterday, and I realized that these mistakes are really kind of worse than I thought. They're really impeding like the amount of water, for example, where the placement of the trees are on the berms instead of in the swales. That's actually kind of a big deal. The water is now, when the drip irrigation is set up, it just runs off. It's not really pooling at the roots and seeping into the ground in a way that the roots can take up the water. After much thought, I've decided I'm going to basically move all the trees into the berms and move all the irrigation and rework that. I'm gonna do this as early as I can, aka today, before it gets deeper into the heat of summer, because I want to increase the likelihood of these trees surviving. So I did find a couple that didn't make it through the winter. I think one, the rest are trees that were chewed up by the cows way back when, before we had the fence. If you've been here a while, you know. So I'm gonna do that. And I would be telling you about this in the orchard, except we're on what I hope is one of the last breezy days of the spring. Luckily, it's very nice outside. It's about 60 degrees, even with the wind chill. But it's gonna be hard for you guys to hear me explain some stuff. So that's the intro. I'm gonna go grab my tools. I'm gonna grab the shovel. I'm gonna grab the tripod, and we're gonna head down to the orchard and do a lot of manual labor. Did fertilize. I think I'm gonna have to fertilize again. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. So let's go get ready. And of course, as soon as I talk about how windy it is, you guys can't hear me, the wind stops. So here we are. Gotta get the tool belt. All right, quick recap. If you didn't watch my top mistakes made in the orchard video, which I will link somewhere up here when I edit this. What I realized after I did all the berms and swales is like a year or two later, I found someone who specialized in growing in high altitude desert conditions. And he said, yes, normally with permaculture, you plant your trees on the berms to make sure they don't get waterlogged. And then you collect water in the swales. In the desert, you collect water in the swales. So that's where you should plant your trees so they get the most water. So berm, swale. Yes, basically all the water runs off of this berm and down into the swale, which is great for the swale, except nothing's growing in there. I care about the tree. So we're gonna fix that today. Good news is that most of the trees have survived, so I'm hoping they transplant pretty well. Hopefully you can hear what I'm saying because the wind did pick up. The trees that I planted in the fall, the new Chinese apricots and Japanese plums, those seem okay. So those are the ones I'm most concerned about because this is gonna be their first summer. So I'm gonna stop talking because it's getting windier and you guys can watch me do things. Alrighty, I did water everything yesterday, so the root system should be okay. I'm gonna kind of figure out where in the swales to put them and just kind of place them and then move the soil from the berms into them. So there's a bunch of like grasses and stuff in here, which can be good mulch. Alright. Alright, Dolgo crab, here we go. That looks good. I think this will work. So we have the tree in the soil, in the swale. So yes, I still kind of have the same problem, the soil around the tree being an upward slope. It should go down into the tree, but the swale itself is lower. I think I'm gonna have to fix over time and make sure the irrigation is collecting around the roots. So I think this is gonna be an ongoing process, but I think this is a better start because really before, like, the water was not going anywhere near the roots. So I'm gonna go on to the next tree. Hey guys, sorry, the camera battery died. We've been doing a lot, including the doors, which you may or may not have seen by the time this video comes out. But yeah, so I wanted to show you this tree. This tree is one of the examples of like a really nice tree that I got a couple years ago that was totally decimated by the cows. Yeah, the reason I'm not pulling it out is because there is new growth and it seems like a waste not to try. So I've got a couple of these. Some of the other ones really are dead, but I think I've got 2 or 3 that are actually showing some life. So I am gonna move this one. Yeah, so if you see me moving a couple of very small trees, that's what happened. So there's that tree I just showed you. That should actually be as big as this tree if the cows hadn't gotten it. I mean, I'm not 6 feet, so, you know, we're looking at a 6 or 7 foot tree. So it's really super disappointing that that happened a year or 2 ago before we got the fence up. But I don't want to waste a tree, so I'm gonna go replant it. All right, I have one more tree to go. This guy, the last, I think he's a pear plum. I don't know, he's flowering. He's got those beautiful little blossoms, I'll show you. I'm so tired. I thought this was gonna take me an hour, which to be fair, it actually almost has, but it's an hour of not backbreaking. We're not gonna be dramatic, as Brian says. Why do you have to emphasize so much? But truly manual labor. Digging up trees, manual labor. So I will try to find a way to film this for you guys with my phone. I will take a break. I actually have to go back to work. I think later tonight I'm gonna come down here and maybe recruit Brian to help me move all the irrigation lines so we can get them watered as well. So here we go. Big breaths. I will honestly be shocked if my phone does not fall off of the stand. It is perched so precariously. Anyway, last tree. Let's go. Where am I gonna put you? Probably the... That'll do, pig. That'll do. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna go have some lunch. I am quite hungry now. I was gonna show you I think they're the Japanese plum. I have to go look at my chart on the computer because I actually lost the tag for it, but ready? Oh, they're so beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. So this is what I planted in the fall. So I hope I didn't just ruin everything moving it. But I'm feeling really good because seeing them in the lower trenches, it feels a lot better, especially today where there's a bit of wind. I feel like they're slightly protected actually by the berms now. So the berm is like blocking some of the wind. Now, for the taller trees, obviously the wind is still gonna blow against them. I mean, I'll show you our one tall cherry, our Canadian choke cherry. You know, before you saw how tall it looked above me, he's still looking pretty tall, even though he's deep in the ground. So he's still gonna get buffered by the wind, but his trunk is a pretty good size. So I think he'll be okay. So stay tuned. We'll time lapse, probably moving around the drip irrigation and whatnot. Oh no, big stretch. You ready to go outside again? All right, friends. It's slightly later in the day. I finished work. Brian's back home and ready to help me out. We are going to move the drip irrigation lines from the berms down into the swales. He's gonna help me move things around because it is quite a bit of tubing. And I have the water turned on so we can make sure that where the water actually is leaving the irrigation drip lines is at the base of the trees. I'm hoping everything works out okay. Because ideally, you know, you match the irrigation lines to where the trees are. So the fact that we moved the trees, not great. But that's one reason why I kind of just moved everything over directly from where it was to make sure that that all works out. So yeah, it's a little breezy up at our house, but it's actually not too bad down here. So I may ditch this vest. What up, Conish, Shabonish? We were able to make it work even though it's not great placement for all of the trees. But considering it means we don't have to rerun the irrigation lines, that is helpful. Thanks to Brian for helping me move them. You're great. We're going to let the water run for a little bit more and then probably just wait another day or two and then we'll water it again. And hopefully the regular watering schedule, they will send some roots out. So, off we go. Say bye to the orchard. Good morning, friends. Happy solstice. It is the first day of summer and it's actually a little chilly out. I've got my jacket on, there's a nice breeze, and I have absolutely no complaints about it because it is supposed to be a scorcher today. So I am heading down to the orchard to give it a nice soaking before this 2-day, 3-day heat wave comes through. And I thought I would take you with me because I have been editing the video you've been watching, which happened back in May. And I was like, well, let me show you how this has been working, replanting the trees, because it actually has worked out very well. And I didn't really have to change around the soil too much. So let's head down there and I'll point out a couple things that did well. And then I'm gonna go celebrate the day of the most light. Very exciting. Okay, I'm gonna put my sunglasses on because I literally cannot open my eyes the way the sun is hitting right now. So what I have been doing lately is actually just leaving the irrigation on longer and running all the lines at the same time. Where it had been an issue was over here on these lines, but one of the rows, all the trees didn't make it through the winter, so I've been able to turn off that one irrigation flow, and that's helping keep the pressure up on the others. If I was going to do it again, I would actually add a, I don't know what you call it, like a Y switch or something here. Let me show you. There. That is the main junction for the water that goes down to those rows. And then this one is a big one. It goes to this one and then like 3 rows here. So it's not exactly even, which I didn't do right. Which again, no big deal. But it just makes it harder to balance like the amount of water everything's getting. So I might do that this year. I might do it next year. We'll see. I think actually those trees in the back shouldn't need to be watered anymore after this year, except like in drought conditions, because they've been in for like 2 or 3 years, so they should be established. So behind me is the row of the trees I've planted most recently, which would be last fall. They are the Tonka plum, which I believe is right behind me, or Toka plum, which is a cross between an American and a Japanese plum, and then the rest are Chinese apricots. I was probably most concerned about them because they hadn't really like totally established before I planted them, and then I moved them, literally removed them and moved them when I did this replanting project, and they are looking beautiful. Let me show you. I'm making sure they're getting a lot of water too, but they are coming together very nicely, and they've all leafed out beautifully, and they had those really pretty white blossoms I showed you when I replanted them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I missed one. Lots of water. One thing I did have to do, I know I said I didn't have to move too many things after we realigned the irrigations. I did have to actually stab a few more drainage holes in the irrigation. I'll point one out here. Some of them just like weren't right next to each other in the right place. I won't say it's like a waste of water, because it is, even if it's like slightly off from the base of the tree, the water is going deeper and encouraging the roots to go deeper. So again, like establishment, drought tolerance, things like that. So it's better overall, but that is the one thing where if I eventually do this irrigation again, I will make sure it lines up more specifically with each tree. So you can see it's pooling there, but it needed to be here. So there is quite a bit of water. It might be okay though, because eventually I might plant some more like companion plants around the trees. So it won't go to waste. It's just like not ideal right now. And that's it, friends. It's really nice to sit down here and listen to the water when it's irrigating. You can hear it right now. Listen. Kind of sounds like a little fountain or stream, though man-made. But yeah, everything's going great in the orchard. Been doing really well considering after that first week when I planted I dug out the garden and planted the seeds and we got rain every day and it was glorious. It basically hasn't rained since. So fingers crossed everything does well through this little heat wave we're getting, and that we'll actually get some rain next week. So everyone have a great solstice. Get out there, touch some grass, breathe some fresh air, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay guys, I thought I'd show you one of the trees that's next